Hi guys, and hello from the hilltop. I'm Waxahachie Blue, and I want to welcome you to my channel, The Plateau Perfectionist. Today's video is my May 2022 plan with me in my Sekis journal. So first of all, I'm going to apologize if you hear any random cars drive by, or if you happen to hear me sniffling or anything. My window is open. 'Tis the season. So where I live, we live in a desert type area, and so when the weather is nice, we like to open the windows to enjoy the breeze. And it's a wonderful weekend this particular weekend, and so I have my window open, the air conditioner is turned off, and we're just enjoying the natural weather. But if you happen to hear cars in the background, it's just the hazards of living with nice weather and open windows. So my theme for this month, I ended up with two colors, which is a light blue and an olive green, sagey olive green. And I thought about a couple different themes. I thought of maybe doing something cute and odd, but to be honest, what really got me inspired was AmandaRachLee's lo-fi theme that she did a couple of Aprils ago. And I've been wanting to do a lo-fi similar kind of theme because I dearly love lo-fi music. And I thought these two colors they meshed very well. They were very calming tones. I find lo-fi music very calming. I decided to kind of do a cool toned lo-fi theme. And just like Amanda did her personal desk and things of that nature in some of her drawings, I drew my bedroom. And roughly, this is not an exact representation, although it is pretty close. So, for those of you who do not know, I live with my parents. It's a personal choice. It saves money in my particular coffers, and there's extenuating circumstances as to how I ended up here. But anyway, so this is my room, and because it is my room, I can decorate it how I so choose. I can't paint it or anything. It's kind of like living in a rental apartment. But I have decorated it to match my personal style. And my personal style has a lot of cool tones, and so when these two colors came up the way that they did, it just kind of flowed naturally. I was actually very surprised in how quickly and how cohesively this particular picture ended up coming out. And so this is my actual setup in my room. I actually have my bed turned horizontally against the wall, so I have a little bit more floor space. But I set my pillows up against the window because it frames so beautifully. I have a plant up on one of the windows, or on a shelf on my wall, and this is my desk setup. This is where I sit and do my bullet journaling. This is where I do my editing, and this is me, including the kitty box in the right corner of the room. The only thing that this particular picture was missing was probably the cat sleeping on the bed. But I've drawn enough cats, and I will probably draw cats later, but she did not need to make an appearance in this particular spread. So the two colors that I had were the sage olive green as well as this kind of light blue. Both of them were Crayola Super tip markers. So super tips, they do and do not layer over themselves very well. It's kind of a hit or a miss depending on the color. So in order to kind of add just a smidge more contrast, I did also include the use of a light gray Crayola Super tip. I counted that as my neutral color. So in my 2 for 22 challenge, which I have been doing for this entire year, I have two colors that I'm allowed to use in however shape, form, or fashion I choose. I do allot myself silver, gold, and then the occasional other pen that flows well with it. So for example, in my month of April, I had a Le Pen that was the exact same color as the blue that I used, but since it was such an ultra fine point, I used it for all the writing. So I give myself a little bit of a wiggle room with it, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I mean, it's my own challenge. I invented it. I can periodically tweak the rules as needed. But see here, I just used the gray just to kind of give some extra shadows and some extra depth in certain spots. I tried not to make it its actual color, but just use it for places where I needed to include some shading, and I knew that going over the color over itself wouldn't necessarily give the depth that I was trying to represent in this picture. And then to be completely honest, not everything in my room is either blue or green. There are things in my room that are different colors. I have a lot of natural wood tones, but obviously I can't really get a wood tone through using a baby blue or an olive green color. So I had to improvise in certain spots. But bear with me. It's an interpretation. Also, my particular bedding at this current point in my life, it has a very distinct pattern to it, but it is also very hard to replicate. So I decided to, instead of replicating, just draw these lines in order to represent how the pattern is without actually spending hours drawing the pattern, because I'd be here all day just drawing the bedspread. Also, preemptively, since this is the month of May and my birthday is in May, I actually plan to buy myself a new duvet cover. My favorite color in the history of all things great and small is blue. I love the color blue. I love various shades of blue. Some of it is tied, so like for example, I have naturally blue eyes. That is my personal favorite color blue, which is hard to find in various colors of things. But when I first moved into this particular space, it was the guest room, and it was very much my mother's style. So over the course of the years that I have lived here, I have changed things up. It is now my room, and you can tell it's not my mother's style, it's my style. So, but even then, I try to fill the space with my comfort color, which is blue, because there was some things that I was going through personally that I needed that comfort. These days, my comforts have slightly changed. I am now very comfortable living here. It's taken me a couple years to do that. And as such, I now want to kind of upgrade a little bit. I sometimes look at my room and certain things no longer spark joy. One particular thing is my duvet cover. I picked it out. I dearly love the pattern. I think it's a beautiful pattern. It's it's almost like a watercolor palette of blues, patterned blues, and like I said, I dearly love it. But it can get a little busy sometimes, and so I would, for my birthday gift to myself, I will be purchasing a duvet cover to go over it. That is a solid color. Probably a more neutral gray, because I do have a lot of blue in my room. The percentages that you hear people talk about for interior design, my percentages are a little off, and I'm hoping that getting a new duvet cover will kind of change that percentage, and it will kind of neutralize all of the blue. And long story short, I'm getting a new duvet cover. As a birthday gift to myself. That is something that I would like to do, is I would like to get myself a new duvet cover. And so that is what I'm going to do. Gosh darn it. And I do enjoy grays and cool tones and things of that nature, but I have a lot of blue in my room. I have found myself kind of meandering towards neutral colors. Not beige. I am not a beige person. I prefer grays, neutral toned grays, and that's just something that I'm going to do. So I should probably get back to the subject of the actual bullet journal. So since this is based off of lo-fi, this is based off my room and things in my room, I decided to draw just a single one-page calendar. This is nothing like the calendar that is in my actual room. I actually have a 20th anniversary Firefly calendar in my room, but wash is kind of hard to draw. And so I decided to just do this very simple one to keep the colors cohesive. And then I also did include a habit tracker page, which is the one that I'm doing here. I decided to keep it very simple in the design of these particular habit trackers that I am doing. There are 6 in total. They're the ones that I have been doing continuously for the past few months, such as continuing to brush my teeth, water the plants, because that is the season, you gotta water the plants, and my Spanish lessons and things of that nature. And then I also decided to include a weight tracker here. So something you don't usually see me draw, but I do actually input into my into my journals. I just do so after I'm done filming. Is usually on my weeklies, I will have a small box that I write my weight in. It's something that I personally like to track. I am in the process of trying to break the 200 threshold. Since I have gotten more successfully back on the keto wagon, because I fell off kind of hard these past couple months, I've gotten back to it. I'm actually doing very good, and I am very, very close to breaking said threshold. So this time I decided to kind of make it look a little more clean, a little more professional, instead of just a random box that I draw on each day of my weeklies, to, I guess, mentally be more accountable, even though I'm already pretty accountable, but it fit very well. So this is a bit of an odd duck spread. Everybody's got them, okay? I don't like doing moods. I'm not a mood tracker person. I just don't. I don't, okay? But I do have a shelf, and this is nothing like what's actually on my shelf. My shelf is not nearly this cluttered either, but I needed 31 days, so there's stuff on these shelves. Instead of doing a mood tracker, I simply drew this tracker, and I have 2 options. It's either blue or green. And basically, depending on how I feel that day, I'm going to color whatever item is numbered blue or green. It has nothing to really do with my mood or anything of that particular nature. It's just, what color do I feel like? Do I want it to be blue, or do I want it to be green? It's that simple. So it's kind of almost a throwaway spread. It was just, I thought it was an excellent idea and way to really kind of use my 2 colors for this particular month, just to kind of keep it creative. And there are some things in this particular spread that I do are homages to things that are in my room. So for example, I do have the letter B, because I do have the letter B as one of my initials. And then the clock here is actually based off of a clock with dominoes for numbers that I have on my wall that belong to my grandmother that I keep. It's one of my personal mementos of her. As well as this little nightstand table, which is one of the newer items I have purchased for myself over the past year or so that I really do love. I enjoy the natural color of the wood and things. But yeah, I just decided to create this spread. I had an extra page. I thought it was neat. So it's just blue or green, however I feel. And certain things, like I went ahead and colored the plants and things because those don't have numbers, and I went ahead and colored the shelves. Although I did make an oops on the shelves. I intended to have all of the shelves be gray, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I accidentally grabbed the green, so I ended up with 2 green shelves and 2 gray shelves. But it is what it is. But yeah. And then on the opposite side of this spread is a line a day. So I enjoyed doing my daily inspirational page in my month of April. I did have to kind of hunt for inspirations every so often, which could get a little tedious, and sometimes I would double up. If I had the inspirations already pulled up, I'd find a couple and write them down for a couple days, especially for weekends. So for like the Easter weekend, when I knew it would be extremely busy, I went ahead and preemptively wrote inspirations, but it is what it is. But a line a day, I can go back and write, how was your day? It was great. Here's what happened. I petted the cat today, and there you go, boom, a line. So that's how this just kind of having a little bit of fun, I guess. And I didn't give myself much room to write a line a day. They just need to be short, sweet, to the point. I did alternate the olive green and the baby blue for the colors, though, just to kind of give it a little bit more color to the page. And there are exactly 2 lines for each of these a line a day chunks. Alrighty, budget tracker. You've seen me do this one a gazillion times. So if you're ever curious on how I do a budget tracker, I do a rolling total budget tracker. So for each month, the first line after I get everything set up is usually whatever is my current totals in each of my accounts. And then as the month progresses, I will include the date of the transaction, a general description of whatever it is, the amount of whatever it is, and then wherever it is being taken out of the account. So my accounts include my bank account, which is for things such as insurance policies and things that have to be withdrew from that effect. A couple of credit cards, one that I use for my subscriptions, such as Disney Plus, Netflix, etc. And then my regular credit card, which I use for everyday use, like gas and stuff. The one where I actually get, cash back and things of that nature. And then, of course, my savings account, because I do have a savings goal. I am trying to save $10,000 this particular year, since I've paid off all of my loans. In case you were curious for an update, I've saved $2,000. I could very easily have more in the bank, but I have been getting a little crazy with the spending. Anyway. But it's my own problem. Oh, I forgot. So this is my Excel spread. I actually had it printed out ahead of time, so I went ahead and you see me putting it in the film. So this spread, the Excel spreadsheet is just literally a spreadsheet of all of my bills and things that I know that I will have over the course of the month. And then as the transactions occur, I can check them off if there is a different price or something of that nature. So for example, a credit card payment, which changes each month. I will write that in, as well as on whatever day that I happen to pay it. I have it marked for the actual due date, so I know I don't miss it. But I am one of those, as I receive my paychecks, will do smaller payments to kind of keep the balances low. And anyway, but fun fact about this. So apparently I printed this out, and the magenta in the printer at my house was out. So when this printed out, it was all in these blues and greens. That was not intentional. That was total fluke. And I looked at it and I said, I really like these colors. These go really well with my bullet journal this month. And so I kept it. I did tell my dad that the magenta was out because I don't know where he keeps the spare ink. And it has since been fixed. But for this particular month, it was one of those serendipitous, rare things. Whatever. In the meantime, as I mentioned, my savings has not exactly been very saved. And to kind of combat this, other than some expected purchases that I know I will be doing in the month of May, I am going to try to do a no-spend challenge for the month of May. This is my spread in order to kind of keep myself accountable for it. Since I have the 2 colors, if I spend anything, regardless of whether it is a bill, I will mark it down as I did spend money. And then I also made sure to leave a little bit of room around said boxes so I can mark if it is a bill or if it is a random expenditure. Necessary spending versus unnecessary spending. And my reward will be the duvet cover, because that is going to be my reward. And it's just to try to help me keep more accountable of exactly how much I am spending over what I have allotted myself for my bills, and to kind of reset my spending because it's gone a little haywire. It's my own personal oops, and this is my hopeful way of getting to be more accountable for that particular problem. And this particular no spend design was based off of one that I found off of Pinterest. You can just search no spend trackers, and you'll probably find that one. All right, weekly time. Something that I like to do for my weeklies is, so if I know I want to track something for the whole of my month, but I don't necessarily have the space to put it on its own tracker or with other trackers, like my weight tracker is on my habit tracker page is a good example. I will kind of design my weeklies around this thing that I want to see every single day for the whole month, and so that way it helps me keep accountable. Something recent that I have started tracking, which is tied to my weight loss as well as my ketogenic lifestyle, is I have started keeping a running record of my blood sugar levels. If you happen to be a person that is interested in keto or want information in regards to this particular lifestyle, a good recommendation I offer is to YouTube search Dr. Boz. Her name is actually Annette Bosworth, but she was one of the ones that I personally found when I decided to start this lifestyle. I've read both of her books. I actually have the workbook that I am currently working through, even though I've been doing keto for over 3 years. Like I said, I fell off the wagon. COVID helped, life helped, but I fell off the wagon, and I have, while I have maintained a relatively healthy weight, especially in comparison to what I started at, one thing that I have definitely reached a level for is to check my blood glucose levels in the morning via a blood sugar tester. And this is not for everybody. I'm not saying that you should do this or anything. This is just something that I have decided that I am going to do, that I have been doing for over a month now. And in order to track that, I made sure to have my weekly spreads designed so the right side here, where the right cutout part will be, that is where I will be putting a tracker that I will be recording my daily or my morning blood sugars. I don't try to go too crazy with it. I'm not diabetic, and so I don't need to do this. But it is something that I choose to do, and I do it in the morning. It's part of my morning routine. So in the mornings, when I get up, before I eat anything, before I even brush my teeth, just because I have this weird thing that I think the sweeteners in the toothpaste will make my sugar spike, I test my blood sugars. And so I test my blood sugars as well as my ketone levels, because I have a tester that will test for both. It just depends on which stick you put in the thing, or whatever stick it reads. Anyway, so and then if you happen to, if you know of Dr. Boz, or if you bother to watch any of her videos, she has what's called a Dr. Boz ratio. In case you were curious, the ratio is your blood sugar divided by your ketone levels. That's why I test both. So you'll see on this graph, I have four lines. I have one for each day of the week, and then I will have one for my blood glucose, which is the BG. I have one for ketones, which is the K, and then the BR, which is Boz ratio. And it's basically this: if your Boz ratio is 80 or under, you are making enough ketones and stuff that your body is burning the fat that is in your body instead of using extra fuel. And I'm probably totally butchering this example or explanation, but this is the best way I can explain it. If it's 80 or below, you are in weight loss. If you're 40 or below, it's even better. And then she even says if you're 20 or below, you've been fasting excessively amounts. If your Boz ratio is 20 or low, that's good for people with cancer. I am not going to go that low. My sweet spot is around 40 to 50. That's where I am pretty comfortable. 40 or better is probably where I need to be in order to really progress with the weight loss. But that is why I created this graph. But in the meantime, I have officially talked for this entire video. I want to thank you for listening to my ramblings while I create these spreads. And I hope you enjoy the flip through, and I look forward to seeing you next month. If you are interested in finding me, I am on Instagram at the Platter Perfectionist with underscores in between each word. And I am also on Facebook at the same name minus the underscores. So thank you again for watching this video. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you enjoyed my work, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye! Alright guys, it is time for the color drawing for June. So my two colors are, let's see what it is, number 1. So that's my Crayola Super tip number 1. And let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Dot marker and color coral. So the coral is actually more kind of like a vermilion red tone, and then my number 1 is black. So we'll have to see how I do with these, but in the meantime, I will see y'all next month.